What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Huskers Live. We are back. Brian, what's going on, man?
Oh, not much. Finally starting to get this office set up a little bit thanks to my wife's hard work. What's going on with you?
Oh, not a whole lot.
You're above water.
Listen. Yeah, I am above water. Brian's has been at work. Listen, Brian's boss has been running him ragged at work, and then Arizona has been flooding. So that's what happened this past week. It was kind of crazy, and it rained so much in Arizona that I'm pretty sure that's why my sewage is blocked up right now. So apologies for no show Friday or Saturday. It literally did not stop raining in Arizona last week. So yeah, it's been a good time. Our mountains turned into waterfalls. I sent a picture to Brian, but it was interesting. But yeah, my plumbing's backed up, my sewage is backed up thanks to all the rain. Arizona's not used to all this, but we are back, and it's time for Michigan State. How are we feeling?
I feel good. What's the spread? 10.5, 11, 11.5?
11. I think it's 11.
Okay. By the way, my best friend from Arizona is driving into my house tomorrow. So
let's go.
I wonder if he got that right. Was it widespread?
Probably. Yes. Like Globe, Arizona flooded like nobody's business. Is he from Phoenix?
Phoenix.
Yeah, he definitely. Yeah, he knows. It's the monsoons came down. It monsooned. So yeah, he definitely knows for sure. You can ask him if he's also having sewage issues when he comes.
He probably lives in an apartment, single guy, military dude.
Smart man.
Yeah. Okay.
It's only because my wife's not listening. All right. Well, how are we feeling about Michigan State, man? 11-point favorites. Honestly, Michigan State, high-level overview, offense, Aiden Childs, has been getting some momentum. Defensively, however, Michigan State is very, very, very flawed. And
yes,
I think that's where Nebraska can have success. But I want to run through it a little bit by bit. And we'll start kind of at the top. But overall, I want to get a quick recap of the Big Ten games and how you're feeling about the schedule, how it lays out. How do you feel about the schedule and how it's kind of laid out versus what Nebraska's played, how Nebraska's played, and how the rest of the schedule is played?
I'm still pretty confident that this is going to be a good year, despite the issues on the offensive line and the defensive line. I kind of made a snap reaction to the depth chart, which I probably should have thought about it when they're not going to announce all the position changes or who's starting that wasn't prior. So I imagine there has to be shakeup come Saturday. There is zero reason there won't be shakeup, in my opinion. So I'm curious to see what they did. It's obviously going to be at the tackle spots, and I think they'll be decent. But I think even though you don't have great lines, you can still win 8, 9, potentially 10 games because you have a lethal passing offense. You have weapons outside. You just got to get the ball out quick and be able to buy time when you need time. And then defensively, you can hopefully with your linebackers have better run fits with your safeties. Now that Malcolm Hartzog's probably going to be out for, I think they're cautiously optimistic that he'll be back by November. It's potentially that he's gone for the rest of the year. So who steps up in his place and can they fill that role? So, there's definitely deficiencies, but I'm still confident based on what we have ahead of us that 8, 9, 10 wins is still on the table.
Yeah, I think it's very important for the secondary in this game especially because kind of like you're talking about, they've been kind of a strong point of this team so far. So with the issues on the defensive line, one of the biggest things that we can do to kind of counteract that is make sure our secondary plays up to par. And so far, we've been excited with those so far. But yeah, that's not the ideal injury that we wanted to have there, especially with how he was playing going in so far this season. Now, when listening to Holgorsen talk about the running back position, looks like he's going to roll out surprises, so to speak, or something.
Vince Giannatone.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. I also saw people saying Elijah Pritchett. Running back. I don't think Elijah Pritchett is going to be a running back.
No, I don't think so. He's athletic though.
He is. He's very athletic. go into a little bit. Nebraska averaging 43.5 points per game with opponent 13.5. Total offense 14.07 over the 4 games, 152 pass attempts, 118 completions, 1 interception, 12 touchdowns. So you got a good touchdown interception ratio from both quarterbacks. Aiden Childs has been throwing the ball fairly well, rushing 579 yards on 138 attempts, 4.2 yards per rush. Now, this one, of course, is naturally going to come down to the battle of Childs versus Raiola. I think this is going to be very, very important for our run game to get off to an early start. I just think, and I know Holgerson mentioned talking about we're only going to do the plays that work. And did you see that clip of him saying that?
I did not. I was at work all day, but I was trying to read some of his comments earlier.
Something about something along the lines of we're not going to run the plays for the sake of running plays. We're going to run the plays that are the most successful. We're going to run plays that works. And I mean, this is nothing new. Like typically, offensively, you're going to roll out there the plays that work more often than not in practice with the guys that it works more often than not in practice with. And so this is nothing new in terms of that philosophy goes. But I think there might just be some wrinkles that we haven't seen yet that he's going to roll out there this week, specifically for Michigan State. We've seen a lot of the base air raid with the high tempo, some of the spacing, the quick reads. But I think we're going to see a little bit of more motion zone runs, counters. And I think this game more than any, I'm hoping they're coming out with a level of physicality to kind of respond to the loss. I think it's very, very important to come out and set the tone early because this is both teams are 3-1 here. This is a very, very important must-win game. I feel like for Nebraska and Michigan State, in a way, if their season goes the way that. So, Dylan Raiola, of course, I give him a much bigger advantage in terms of passing. Aiden Childs a little bit more mobile. When it comes to running backs, Nebraska, of course, I feel like has the advantage. But one of the things that I will say is Michigan State is one of the better receiver corps that we've seen this year. Cincinnati, we talked about it coming into the Cincinnati game, that they were talented but new, right? A lot of fresh faces. And by the way, Cincinnati's favored, I think, against Iowa State, aren't they? If I saw that correctly,
they are favored, and
okay.
I'm not going to be shocked if they beat Iowa State. If I'm being honest,
I won't either. Did you see the Kansas game?
The Iowa State K-State game?
No, Cincinnati, Kansas. Cincinnati, Kansas.
I did not, honestly.
Fourth and 10 with the game on the line, man, and Cincinnati clutched it up and ended up coming down and scoring on that drive and winning the game.
And KU's a pretty decent team right now. I think I watched a few of their games. They look pretty decent.
Oh, they are. Really good quarterback play. And Cincinnati's been tearing it up. So I'm curious to see against a good Michigan State receiver core, how our defensive backs hold up in man coverage against some talented receivers. I'm really curious to see how that transpires on the tape. Just to kind of see, especially in man coverage, with some of these guys they got over on Michigan State's roster. I think what was I'm drawing a blank on his name. Oh my gosh, Amari Kelly.
Michigan. Okay,
Amari Kelly and Nick Marsh. Nick Marsh is probably I would say their top receiver right now. Nick Marsh is going to be a guy that it's going to be really interesting to see how we kind of cover him. And I think if we can keep Marsh kind of at bay and make them beat us with their other guys, I think we're in good shape. I don't think their running game, their running back room, we got of course, Emmett Johnson, I think is better than anything they have in their running back room. So that's why I think establishing the run early and is going to be very important because that'll keep the pass rush at bay. And I think as long as Dylan Raiola has time to throw, we're in good shape. And trick to that is just getting that run game going, getting that, the defensive ends on their heels, not letting them pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. And I think that's probably what we're going to come out and do early is trying to establish that run.
Nebraska has to establish a run because in their 2 games against Power 4 conference teams, they're averaging 2.2 yards per rush. Now, I don't know if that's sack adjusted or not, but that's terrible. Even if you take sacks out of it, if that number is including sacks and you take those out, it's probably not great. I would be curious to come back. So go ahead.
I think we got 4.2 per rush if my number here is correct.
After you take out sacks.
Yeah.
So that's okay at best. I think really like to be a rushing team that you have to respect that part of the offense. You want to be in that 4.8 to 5.3, 5.4, like at a minimum.
It's not consistent enough. That's the problem right now for sure. And albeit against, it hasn't been where it needs to be against, like Michigan, for instance, the good teams.
Emmett Johnson had 10 rushing yards in the second half against Michigan. Something after having 55. Yeah, he had 10 in the second half. He had 55 in the first half. Granted, probably 20 of those was on that first play of the game. So you're thinking, we don't have a great running game against Michigan, but at that point you're like, you know what, it's good enough to get us through this game, and then it just disappeared in that second half, which was pretty disappointing. It almost felt like they just went full air raid, which I'm fine with. I don't care what offense you play, just win. That's all I care about.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah, because in terms of the running back room, hopefully we get to see a little bit more Mekhi this week. We talked about that last week, but hopefully we see him a little bit more involved. In terms of his overall PFF numbers, he looks good, in terms of pass blocking grade and all that stuff. So it seems like he's doing the dirty work, but nobody's really established himself. So it'd be really interesting to see if somebody kind of established himself going forward in this running back room. And also curious to see how Holgorsen deploys it.
I'll admit it's been a frustrating thing for me where we don't have a second running back based on how they're playing the position. And it's frustrating for me because you can't go a full season with Emmett Johnson getting 20, 25 touches a game. And part of it too is there's not even like an attempt to really establish a second running back, in my opinion. Like, it's very minimal touches that Isaiah was getting. It's very minimal what Mekhi was getting. And even with Isaiah, this is what drives me nuts even more, is they don't have a damn clue what they're doing with Isaiah Mosey right now.
Yeah.
Like, he's a running back 1 week, then they moved him to a wide receiver. Now he's back to running back. They say he's playing both positions. If you're playing two positions, you don't have one, in my opinion. Find a position and stick him to it. I don't care if he's a receiver or a running back, but the cross training constantly is you're losing valuable training reps at both positions. So now you're not getting quality development at either position because you're back and forth between rooms and meetings and practice reps. It drives me nuts.
And here's the thing with like a guy like a Deebo Samuel, which is what I think they're trying to do, because the 49ers positionless kind of offense that they like. Thing about a Deebo is he's out there at all times, right? He's able to be used as kind of a Swiss Army knife, or was used as when he was used in the way he was, because he was out there all the time, right? And he was constantly used in motions. He was put in the backfield, put everywhere, right? Right now with the limited amount that he's getting in terms of his touches, I don't think it's as creative as as a Deebo Samuel type of player. I think it's one of those. I think kind of like you said, we need to iron out a specific role. That way, at least he can get some reps and get some momentum rolling. And I think right now, this far in the season, I wish we would have had a little bit more of an established role for a lot of these guys. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at, because this is similar to the conversation we had last year, where it was kind of like the running back rotation really didn't make a lot of sense, all things considered. Even though last year with a little bit more clear cut RB2, but it's still kind of the similar conversation.
Do you remember Rule's first year in Ramir Johnson? How I believe maybe it was Frost last year. Can't remember. It's kind of blurring together, but they were like trying Ramir Johnson at receiver, and then they were doing the exact same thing what they're doing to Isaiah Mosey. And then that year, Ramir had no place on the team, and it sucks because he could have been good at either one, and then he just never found a position until the end of his career, really the last couple of weeks of his career. And maybe it works and I'm just an idiot, which is entirely possible because they're coaches for a reason and I'm sitting here in my office doing a podcast.
Sure.
But I'm more of like, I would rather just have a guy and know where he's going to be every day.
I think it's easier to get momentum going that way. It's kind of like the old adage: if you have multiple quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. That type of thing.
Yeah.
Some of these guys like to know their role, like to establish their role, and that way, each week of preparation, they know what they're going to do on game week. But I think this week, coming off the bye week, because we even heard talking about practices here. We even heard Holgerson talk about he's never seen a team practice like this off a bye week, which is good. Like I do think this team is going to come out with an extra level of kind of. I think they're just going to be a little bit more fired up coming off of the loss than I think in previous seasons we've seen probably off of a loss we see a little bit more of a lackadaisical approach. I think this week they're going to be a little bit more fired up than we've seen off a loss. So hopefully that's enough, and hopefully they can implement some stuff over the bye week that can kind of iron some of those things out as we get into Big Ten play. Hopefully some of this stuff they're wanting to test some things out over these first, few weeks or whatever, and then implement that, more so over the bye week. And I'm hoping that's what we see this week.
I would like for them to, if whoever their backup running back is, pick a guy and let him get some reps.
Yeah.
I feel like the Houston Christian game, especially that one, even the Akron game, where that was a good opportunity to let Emmett play a quarter or two and just rest him, because you needed to find a number two. And I feel like, I think it was Akron we played first, if my timeline's right.
Yes.
So then that game they played Mackay and they played Mosey, and then against Houston Christian they played Quentin, and then they didn't play Mackay at all. And so you played those two games and you found out nothing about your running back room in the sense of who's two and who's three. And then that was also when they're in the transition of putting Mosey at this hybrid role. So I feel like those two games for that purpose was kind of wasted.
Yeah, I agree. But I think there's ways that we can utilize him a lot this week. Mosey, especially, because I think we can use a lot of, use a lot of that to our advantage, use a lot of motions.
Orbit motions, quick passes, get them in space.
Yeah, they're going to be trying to bracket, your Ja'Cory Barneys. They're going to try to bring pressure off the weak side. So I want to try to get some early schemed up throws, quick throws out of the backfield, maybe just kind of build that trust early in that game. Try to, if you're going to get them involved at any point, try to get them involved early. And I think just get that connection there established, because I think Michigan State's defense is not very good. Michigan State, when they win games this year, they're going to have to win by scoring points, because their defense has been pretty bad overall. So there is an opportunity there to get some momentum going and get some established clear-cut roles from some of these running backs. And I think we're going to see a lot of, Emmett Johnson, of course, being the lead guy. He's going to be, Emmett's so patient in his zone. Really good burst, man. His footwork's insane. Just from the day when I talked about him, I talked about making people miss in a phone booth, and that's just the ability to move your feet, chop your feet quick. And he can cut on a dime. Arian Foster to me is one of the best, one-cut backs, most fluid one-cut backs I've seen. And it doesn't require, Arian Foster's never the fastest guy, right? He flowed very well. It's patience and vision. And that's all it is. But nowadays they have the patience and vision, but he can make guys miss the line of scrimmage. And I just think there's so much more still that we have yet to see from Emmett to get him involved in this game. But getting him in those zone blocks and getting that kind of that run game going, getting those motions going in that run game, so that way later on in the game we can start motioning around using the H-back, using those inside motions to kind of, attack them deep, especially. I think we're probably going to see maybe some slot fades, corner fades, and stuff like that, trying to isolate the wide receiver versus safety on the weak side, because I think that's where we're going to be bringing a lot of the pressure off of is the weak side too. So I think the tight ends and H-backs are going to be heavily involved. I think a lot of either drag routes, mesh routes, mesh concepts, and stuff like that, chips and protections, and stuff like that, just to get us a little bit of extra time to just be able to kind of attack some of them, especially attacking the boundary, off of like inside motion, attacking that bracket safety deep. So offensive line just gotta protect.
This is a game where Nebraska should kind of have their way with Michigan State's defense. I mean, they gave up 45 to USC, conference opponent, power opponent. They gave up 523 yards, 230 through the air, 300 almost on the ground. USC at 8 yards per play. They were 8 of 12 on third down. And then in their other power game against Boston College, they won that game, but they gave up 40 points.
Yep.
And Boston College is not like much better than what they were last year, let's be honest. And Nebraska should have beat them last year by double or 2 scores at least. And in that game, they gave up 460 yards of offense. They gave up 400 yards through the air. They gave up only 67 rushing, but 500 or 457 yards of offense is a ton for Boston College.
Yep.
Michigan State's defense is garbage. Their offense is halfway decent, though. This could turn into maybe, I don't want to say a track meet, but it could be a higher scoring game than people think. I wouldn't be shocked if we're in like a, call it like a 38 to 25-ish range, 28-ish range.
Yeah. Right now, I think the biggest thing is our line isn't really the best at dealing with certain stunts and blitzes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the inside zones are, the way we've been pulling our slide protection. I think it's also going to be important to watch how Raiola manages offense. I think it's going to be kind of like you saw it last week when he checked to Ja'Cory Barney, on that one play. I want to see a little bit more of that this week. I want to see just how much control they give him this offense, especially off the bye week too, because I think that's going to be another telling part of how much they trust they have in him. And I still don't understand why Raiola isn't getting the love he deserves. Still, all things considered,
leading like what 76% of his passes at this point.
It doesn't make it. I saw in Ohio State. My buddy Garrison is an Ohio State fan, talking the same thing about Julian saying he's not getting the credit he deserves as well. With his completion percentage, because people are talking about, he's making quick throws. Okay, but he's completing at a high percentage. He's doing what he needs to do, right?
Okay, so he's running the offense. Perfect.
Running the offense, exactly. Moving over to Michigan State's offense, we talked about them a little bit. They run kind of a pro spread hybrid. Who doesn't run a spread hybrid? But they're going to try to balance zone run, play action, motion, an occasional quarterback keep, because they do have a mobile quarterback. Offensive line wise, though, I think that's going to be their biggest weakness in terms of being able to run the ball. I think that's going to be the difference in this game. They get beaten in pass pro very often, but that's going to lead to a lot of scrambles. So we're going to have to stay home. They're not going to run I don't think they're going to run a ton of design quarterback runs. I think they might flow off of just kind of his scramble motion and stuff like that. But I do think they're going to try to move the pocket just in case he needs to move. They're going to try to use him as a chess piece, because he's mobile enough to get outside of your contains, right? He's not oh my gosh, Cincinnati's quarterback.
Sorsby. I was just ready to talk about.
He's not a Sorsby guy, right? He's not a run first guy. It's just going to keep you at home. 9 touchdowns, 1 interception right now. So he's been pretty accurate. I
69% on the year.
How much rushing yards they have? I have 154.
Yeah, he's second on the team, 39 attempts, 154 yards, 4 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. The team collectively averages 4.3 yards per carry.
So defensively, we need to just be smart, watch the zone reads, right? The ends need to stay home. I just think our defense needs to do their job. Everybody needs to do their job, play their 1 of 11, and I think that Nebraska will cover the spread here and contain their offense enough. I just think our defense, our secondary, and our linebacker core, I think, is just so much stronger than theirs. I think that'll be the ultimate difference in this game. But running backs wise, Mekhi Frazier, Inside zone splits, counters. We're going to see a lot of that with him. They want to mix in like zone gap schemes, depending on the front, and then limited use of kind of designed runs for Childs. They're trying to protect Childs as much as they can, so they're not going to give him a heavy running workload. But they might try to lean on Frazier early just to get Nebraska's linebackers occupied. And if they do come out, maybe they will move the pocket early to kind of get the linebackers occupied with Childs' feet too. It'll be interesting to see how they deploy that, but I do think they're going to try to go heavy Mekhi Frazier early.
Their running backs are pretty big too. Even Childs is big. I mean, Frazier was he's like what, 5'10", 5'11", 220-ish. Childs has got to be, I'll pull it out. I have it right here. Childs is 6'3", 225, big physical runner. Frazier's 5'10", 218, and then Brandon Toulis, their backup, is even bigger. 6'1", 230.
Yep.
I mean, they're thumpers. They're not guys that are going to break away like you saw 2 weeks ago with Michigan's running back. So, you're going to take a beating tackling these three dudes. And those are the three guys that this offense kind of revolves around with the running game. And then receiving-wise, Kelly and Marsh are their only legitimate threats, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because everyone else has less than 7 catches on the year.
Yeah, containing Marsh is going to be big because Marsh is probably the one guy that I've seen kind of thrown around as an NFL guy, like the one main guy that he's going to be for sure an NFL draft pick. And we haven't seen that yet. He's going to be the best receiver that we've seen so far this season. So, outside of Kelly, Marsh is the biggest guy that we need. But
and they're different receivers too. Kelly's smaller, where Marsh is a bigger guy, like 6'2", 6'3", 210.
Yeah, he's more of your NFL body, your prototypical receiver, kind of like a Dane Key versus a Ja'Cory a little bit, to an extent.
That's a great comparison.
I think they might. I think a big part of this game is going to be down to tight end play. I think watching
Nebraska.
Yeah, especially I think they might try to sneak some of their tight ends up the seams. But overall, I just think Nebraska is the stronger all-around team. But moving over to the defensive side of the ball, this is, kind of where the battles are won. So Nebraska's defense right now, of course, so far so okay, so to speak, with the defense. I mean, inside, it's
a top 25 defense technically, isn't it?
Yeah, it's top 25 defense, but it leaves a lot to be desired up front, which is what we, like I said, it's a problem we knew coming into the season. But we'll see kind of how they utilize the edge rushers and the contains. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the ends and the edges are tasked in this game for setting the edges, especially, and then kind of how they're gonna pin their ears back whenever they get an obvious passing downs, and see what kind of if we're gonna run stunts, or we're gonna stay kind of home and try to play a little bit more safe. Because I think in this game we do get to see a lot of what we learned from the other mobile quarterbacks. And that'll set us up against a guy like a Jay Mayapa that we're gonna see later this year. Who is a pass first guy who can move the pocket though. And so I think this is a good showcase off of the bye week to be able to see how we can handle a guy who can move. Not necessarily it's his strength is moving,
he's mobile, but he's not.
Yeah, he can move the pocket.
Go ahead.
He can move, but you're not going to see him run the ball a lot on design quarterback runs. And I think that's kind of what we'll see a little bit later this year. But it will be a good test to just see how kind of our defense has how good our defense is at staying home and what they've learned from the film on that.
I would also like to see them start causing more turnovers. I feel like that's been the one issue. Now, they did force that fumble, which was a phenomenal job. I believe that was Elijah Judy that forced that fumble against Michigan. But there's times where they are getting pressure and they're coming from, maybe they're coming around the backside on the pressure, and instead of going for the sack, if they know they're not going to get there on time, you got to reach up for that ball and try and smack that out of the quarterback's hand. Or like in Elijah's case, when you're tackling from the backside, getting that paw in there and ripping that ball out somehow. Or I think, was that Deshaun McCullough or Williams Nawarni 2 weeks ago that they just literally grabbed the ball from the running back and ripped it out. I'd like to see like 2 or 3 turnovers.
I actually cannot remember who that was. Now I think about it. But yes, forcing turnovers is going to be on the air. Yeah, the fact that we're plus is the big. I mean, last time we were plus, we actually had a winning record, which is crazy to think about. Now looking at the front, sometimes we got heavy fronts, sometimes we're going to be running nickel. Can you back out? Come again? Echo's pissing me off. All right, we'll give it 1 second. I'm gonna get into your comments in just a second. So keep your comments coming. Get your predictions in for the game this weekend. I'll wait for Brian to pop back in. There he is. Welcome back, sir.
I'm here.
All right. So where was that? Oh, yeah. Looking at linebackers for Nebraska, I kind of talked about it a little bit, but I think the biggest thing is they're just going to have to be smart with passing off these routes, not allow them to get, not allow them to nickel and dime their way down the field, because that's when I think those big running backs can start to do their thing. I think the biggest thing is just making sure that they don't get ahead of steamrolling and they're able to use kind of those big backs to kind of wear Nebraska's defensive line down, because that's one of the biggest things. As long as our defensive line fresh, I think we'll be okay. But they're going to be, they're going to use crossing patterns. We'll try to match them with like man or match quarters. And that way we can, in man or match quarters, if they do run the ball, if Childs does scramble, we got to be very good in terms of our run fits from the safety position. So I'm really curious to see the defensive approach to this, and I think that'll give us a good tell of what they've learned over the film. Looking over at Michigan State's defense, man, they have no pass rush.
Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about there.
They have no pass rush, which is excellent, and which is why I feel pretty good about this game. Because
how concerning would it be if they're able to get a pass rush, though?
It's a good question, because I think it's all going to be a matter of what we dial up from what we saw in the film. And I honestly, I think if they're able to get a pass rush, it's not going to be anything like we saw from Michigan. I think Dylan Rowe is going to handle it well. I do. They're 113th in passing yards allowed per game.
Dylan this year statistically is substantially better against the pressure than he was last year. Even against Michigan, he completed, 6 of 8 passes when under pressure, which is actually insane considering how much pressure they were getting on literally every single snap. I personally keep pressuring him because the kid has ice in his veins. He's going to find the open guy more times than not.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just the way he's navigating the pocket versus last year. There are opportunities there, yes, but it's night and day better compared to what he was doing last year. Still occasionally taking a sack that we shouldn't, but he's a sophomore at the end of the day.
There was one play against Michigan where it was a little what the hell are you doing? Where he tried to like throw it underhand at the last minute. Last second.
And kind of threw it too high.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to live to fight another down.
Yeah.
You got to. And sometimes I feel like we just got to get better at throwing the ball away.
Yeah. He was actually pretty decent at that at the beginning of last year before he went in that little slump. Like he would just like 3rd and 7, nothing's open, just throw it out. Like that was like a high level play in all reality because of how young he is.
I'm hoping this week it's just more so as soon as he sees those swing routes open up, we're just getting it out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing is like, I hope that's the utilization that we're going to do is instead of running routes and looking down the field, I hope the first place we look is those swing passes. We get it out, then we spread the field wide, and that way then we can spread the field vertical. Once we get it spread horizontally, then we can spread it vertically. And I think if we kind of hammer into that early on top of that inside run game, because you spread the field horizontally, you open up the inside run game, you open up the deep pass. Those things work hand in hand. That is the air raid offense in a nutshell. We saw the
openings. I'd be curious if we start running double screens.
Yeah, because we saw the openings on tape against a much better defensive team. Not even close. And the openings were there to be taken, which is why I think Nebraska, which is why I do have confidence in Nebraska covering this spread, just because their defense is so bad, and Michigan's, I think, is better than people are going to give credit for. But those openings are going to be there plus, tenfold. And I think coming off of a game like Michigan where Dylan was under duress so much, I think any time in the pocket he's going to have is going to be, for him, it's going to feel like all day.
Yeah. Their pass rush is just as bad as ours at the end of the day. Both teams have only 6 sacks on the year. He's going to have time. Should have time, I should say.
This is the game where we should be able to stretch the field.
Yeah, I would love to see how they're going to attack Michigan State, how they're going to attack Nebraska's receivers, because we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, like with Dane Key, like he's not a guy that's just popping out during games, but because they're bracketing him, they're doubling him, they're trying to take him away. But that opens up Isaiah, that opens up Ja'Cory, who's had, I believe, back-to-back 100-yard games as the leading receiver. It just opens up so much. And I'm just like quickly skimming through our receiving statistics right now. We have 5 players over 15 catches. I'm sorry, over 13 catches right now.
Yep. Spread the ball out well.
Which is phenomenal.
Spread the ball out well. I think if Michigan State's attempt at a pass rush fails, they're going to try a 4-man rush, 3-man pressure, plus the blitzes and stuff like that. If that fails, the defensive backs are going to be on an island. And I think that's where Nebraska is going to really put their foot down on their throat. And so they are going to try to come out and they're going to try to create some kind of pressure early, because that's the only hope they have. And if they can, it's going to be a long day. Linebacker wise, they got Jordan Hill, Wayne Matthews, Darius Snow. Those guys, it's all on them, because those are the guys that are going to have to read the run pass, drop to match, especially when you get those drags coming across on those mesh plays that Dana Holgorsen likes to run a ton. Those guys' range is going to matter, and trying to occupy those as much as you can to keep those stunts from coming is going to be very, very important. So I think we're going to stress their linebackers a lot in this. So Hall's kind of the anchor, but if we can get him out of position and flood the zones, like if he gets out of position, we can run the ball much better. So
he's also their best pass rusher too.
Yes. So we can occupy him as much as possible. Yeah. If we can occupy him as much as possible, keep him from being able to pin his ears back and get after the quarterback and do what he does, and I think that's what our biggest thing is, because we do like to attack that, that short middle part of the field. And I think it's going to be a matter of stressing their linebackers out. And I think we have enough speed to be able to do that to very, very well. So I think just going to make their DBs cover a little bit more. They're going to try to do some bump and runs. They're going to try to play some match. They're going to do what they can, but they're going to be vulnerable to double moves, deep shots, especially if we get the run game going. That play action is going to open up mightily. So they might play like one deep safety. If so, Nebraska's motions are going to come in clutch.
Yeah. By the way, I'm looking at all their players with sacks. They have not had a single sack in a Power 4 game this year. All their sacks, which is only 6, have come against Youngstown State and Western Michigan.
Yes.
So when we say they have no pass rush, they have no
pass rush.
It's non-existent. At least Nebraska, they had 1 or 2 against Michigan. I think they had 1 against Cincinnati. But our pass rush isn't anything to write home about either. But
Michigan State has been worse, and that's saying something.
Yeah, but both teams with 6. It is not made the same way.
Yeah, no. Justin, Go Big Red. What's up, William? Go Big Red. 38-17. Good guys. I like that. Do you have your prediction on Shanahan by chance?
Not that one, but never mind me.
Never mind me. 100-3. Michigan State. All right then. By never mind you with a score like that. That's right. That's what I'm talking about, Justin. Tell him. He's in a mood. No prediction this week for me, fellas. Just wanted to get back on track. I respect it. The thing that sucks is we don't have a running back that could take it to the house, given the holes that Michigan had, lack of athletes still.
Oh, I could have taken him to the house last week.
Emmett can house it.
Michigan had a 57-yarder 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Michigan's got a much better defense than Michigan State, though. I don't think we have a lack of athletes. I don't. Michigan's very athletic defensively. Have you watched the Michigan State quarterback? Yes, I have. I watched Aiden Childs last year as well. Yep. Ives, I think, should be number 2.
I think he's going to be the clear number 2 on Saturday.
Y'all know I'm not upset about that. Ives is my guy. Okay. I just need to get
He looked good against Houston Christian. Granted, it's Houston Christian, and a lot of the holes he was running through, you could drive a bus through. But considering 2 hamstring injuries, and he's slowly getting back into it, I think that's what Rule is alluding to. Like, he's ready to go now, and we're going to see what it looks like on Saturday, because you can't keep doing what you're doing.
No, they had to ease him into it. Honestly, it was just with the injury he had, they had to ease him into it. So
yeah,
Michigan quarterback, Aiden Childs fumbled 5 times this season. Yes, and that's another reason why they're going to keep him away from.
The more times you run the zone read, the more likely you are to fumble.
Punch the ball out of his hand. Just do this. Riley will have a field day, 45-17. Route for Nebraska. The other Dave. I love that. Nebraska 38, Michigan 17. Never mind me in all serious. 42-21 Skurs. What a pivot there.
This is a weird one for me to predict because they beat Western Michigan. They didn't look good doing it. Week 1, benefit of the doubt, they won 23-6. Then the next week you play a Boston College team who is, I don't think, that great. They lost to Stanford by 10. Yep. They lost to Cal. Their only win is against Fordham.
Yep.
So that win does not look good.
Nope.
And you scored 42, gave up 40, went in double overtime. Then you play Youngstown State, who's not good. And you score 41, which you should. Gave up 24, which is way too much. And then you lose to USC, who I don't know who they are right now at this point. 2 weeks ago, I thought they were good.
That's
really good.
That is a good question. Like, because I still think USC is a good team. I think USC is kind of like us right now. I think people see USC as us, in a way. Outside looking in, I think the outsiders looking at Nebraska look outside of USC and see the same thing. That's the best way to put it.
So, like, you lose to USC, you score 31, that should be enough to win you a lot of games. Gave up 45.
I think they were in that game till like the fourth quarter, late in the third, something like that. What was the final?
It was 45-31 USC at USC.
Okay, yeah.
So, okay, you lose to a good team, but then USC goes out and they lose to Illinois, who just got beat by like 60 against Indiana.
Yep.
So, like, that's where I hate doing this, but
the football.
That's kind of how we draw conclusions and start getting like an idea of how good this team is who they've played and what that outcome was. And USC's the best team they've played was Illinois, and they lost. And that was coming off of a decent win against Michigan State. But Illinois was coming off an ass beating.
And I think that
I don't know if they're good or not, or even respectful good on an offensive perspective. Like, this could be a game where Nebraska puts up 45 and gives up 10.
Yeah.
It could also be a game where they give up 30.
Sure. Yeah. So what are you trying to tell me? What's your prediction?
That's why this prediction's so hard.
Yeah.
But I'll get it. I'm gonna go with my gut here. Michigan State still sucks. I don't think Aiden Childs is a good quarterback. I've never thought that. We're gonna go 45. I'm going to go 45-17 Nebraska.
I like that. So let's see. Nebraska quarterback versus pass rush. I'm trying to go position by position. Let me see. Nebraska quarterback.
I think we're better in every position.
I do too, because I think if we neutralize the edges, which shouldn't be a problem, and they can't bring consistent pressure, Ryle's going to just pick them apart in the zone game, because I think if they try to man up, I think they're just SOL. Nebraska's running back versus Michigan State's front and linebackers. It's going to be very important to use counter, stretch the second level. Now, if we get Emmett going and Michigan State can sell out to stop him, then that's when we can stretch the field vertically. Otherwise, we play off of the other one. The wide receivers versus the DBs. Looking at this, I like Ja'Cory Barney. I don't know anybody who can match up with him on the slot on their team. That's one of my biggest things right there. Is I think Barney's going to be very, very open. I think if they try to do match coverage, like I think their defensive backs are going to have to be super disciplined. And if they mess up once, I think they're going to get beat deep and over the top. As long as Nebraska can read the blitzers, slide protect, chip effectively, and make sure that they're just creating that little bit of opportunity, a little bit of space for Raiola to get the ball away and out of his hands early, I think Nebraska is going to be in control of this game throughout. Now, if Michigan State's protection holds and Childs is able to kind of test Nebraska's deep coverage, or if they force Nebraska into a spy and maybe take one of our personnel and force him to occupy himself as a spy, and then try to from there take that advantageous position since then you have numbers. Maybe work the inside gaps, read the keys, try to get the linebackers overreading on the running game. Overall, I just don't think they have that in them. From what I've seen from them this season, from what I've seen for Nebraska this season, I think Michigan, I just don't think they're quite there. I think Nebraska, I don't think Nebraska is. Nebraska's in year 3. Nebraska's in a year where they're supposed to win. Michigan State is kind of in a down season, kind of a mediocre season, if you will. And I think right now they're 3-1. Their record shows that, they look like a decent team, but I think it's going to show the difference on Saturday between the actual talent where these teams are at in terms of not only the locker room, the coaching staff, but where they're at in terms of as a program. And I think maybe the Michigan loss is getting a lot of people, oh, what is Nebraska? Michigan State comes out and they got a big offense, right? Can they give Nebraska problems? I don't think so. I think I'm kind of there with y'all. I think I'm seeing like a 38-17 type of game.
So this game opened Nebraska minus 10.5. It has gone up to minus 11.5. It opened at a 53.5 total and is now down to a 49.5. So if Nebraska is basically an 11-point favorite with a 49-point total, that would put it at what? 38 to, or no,
37,
28 to math. Dude, I've been up since 4 a.m. I'm fucking exhausted.
26 to 37. I don't know, bro. I can't math, dude.
Yeah.
Math is hard. So I'm a personal trainer. I don't have to do math.
It'd be 28 to 17.
Yeah. No. That's
28 to 21.
Yeah, it's 28-17. Sure.
31 to 21.
Whatever.
I'm fucking
Let's go with that. Let's go with that. I want to do a quick little. How did you feel about the Penn State game? How do you feel about Penn State?
Dude, is he ever going to win a big game?
Man, I don't know. I root for the guy. I was rooting for him. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is about Oregon's quarterback. That dude looked half asleep the entire game. It was pissing me off. Every time they showed him, he was like.
It was like Cam Ward would play half asleep.
Dude, literally, the dude like half asleep the entire game. Like Drew Aller, man, I want to see it for him because he was getting slandered last year. Dude threw like 20-something touchdowns, the 2 interceptions, and getting slandered. And he hasn't really had much of a receiver core. Like,
well, their best receiver. Who's their best receiver last year?
I don't know. That's the problem.
Well, they had Julian Fleming, who Nebraska wanted, who
their tight end
thing. Well, yeah, they had Tyler Ward.
Tyler Ward, yeah. But like I don't know.
Thank God. Thank you. Never mind me.
They're 11-point favorite, 38-11. The totals.
Wait,
that's
not matching.
Not right.
That's a 27-point win.
27-point spread. Never mind me. Yeah. Listen, if I felt like pulling out a calculator, I'd do it right now. But how do you feel about the rest of the schedule? Because the way it's looking right now, of course, USC not looking the greatest. Iowa, yeah. just of how, again, another week playing out, how the rest of the schedule and how the rest of the teams are looking. Minnesota doesn't look that strong. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Have you heard of what is it called? It's some type of like advanced analytics company that they put out like projections and like percentage of win, like chance to win. And they have Nebraska, and they called like multiple games by almost the exact correct score. They have Nebraska substantial favorites against Michigan State. Northwestern is like a 98% chance or 92% chance of victory. UCLA is like 70 something percent. And then they have Nebraska as like a slight favorite against Iowa.
You're not talking about
like 60%.
You're not talking about Kelly Ford, right?
No, that's I'm going to think of the name like 10 minutes after the show ends, probably.
Yeah, we'll do a video on it.
I think it starts with a G.
Garden.
But basically,
I don't know.
But Nebraska is favored in their metrics in every game except Penn State.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I can see that. Iowa, though, I don't know what Iowa is, bro. Like, because Iowa, oh my God, who did they play this week? Because I was drawing a blank.
I'm pulling up their schedule. They they almost beat Indiana.
No,
apparently.
That was who it was. That was Yeah, it was Indiana. With how they played against Indiana, I'm confused about them right now, about Iowa. Now, Gronowski got hurt.
To Rutgers and then almost beat Indiana.
Gronowski did get hurt, though.
Oh, well, they're fucked.
Yeah, Hank Brown came in, was 5 for 13. Yeah, Gronowski got hurt late in that game.
Hank Brown's their quarterback?
Yes.
Well, I can guarantee you he sucks. His name's Hank Brown.
I don't know what the update was on. You know what's funny, though? A lot of Iowa fans were calling for him to start this offseason. He looked terrible. Did we have an update on their injury? Hold on, let me look at Gronowski's. Status is unclear. Yeah, so went down the injury, spent some time in the medical tent, warmed up, but did not return to the game. Hank Brown returned to his place. Yeah.
So they play Wisconsin.
Yep.
And on a bye, so they play Wisconsin next Saturday.
Yep.
Then this will be a big one. They play Penn State on October 18th.
Yeah. I'm saying if we're 11-point favorite, they expect us to score a combined 49.
Yeah, so that means it would be 28 to... Are we doing this again?
Nope, I'm not. As soon as my brain starts trying to do the math, it just malfunctions.
You just can't wrap around it.
Short circuits, bro. Like, dude, we've both been working all day. Then we get home and we have to jump straight on here. It's like our brains are just fried, dude. Tanisha said her favorite show's on, though.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I wonder why. It's because Brian, not me. I see 2 more wins than last year. 9 wins. We need the next 4. I still have 9 wins as my projected total. I don't know about you.
Yeah, 9. I would say 9's pretty. Maybe even 10.
Yeah, I feel.
It kind of depends what this offensive line and defensive line turns out over the next couple of weeks.
I feel 90% confident in 9 wins. Oh, so never mind. He said he's tipsy, so he thinks. I don't think we're right because we haven't even really given a number yet. I'm
getting close.
I think you've at least
30 to 19 is their projected score. Nebraska 30 to 19.
30 to 19.
11-point margin of victory.
At least never mind me gave it an effort. We didn't even give it an effort. So there's that. All right, guys. That'll do it for us here. We're going to be back on Friday with the call-in show. You know, things happened this week. Sorry. And then the rain happened Friday and Saturday, and my internet was gone. And then it was spotty when it actually came back because the rain would never stop. So I'm going to work on getting my plumbing resolved in the meantime. But we're going to have, I'm going to probably record a video tomorrow for y'all, a little bit of a breakdown, try to get some Michigan State film, kind of give you an idea of what we're going to look at. Oh my gosh, Aiden Childs. I almost called him Michigan Childs. That's my brain's working right now. Michigan Childs. Get y'all some film at Aiden Childs. Yeah, so you can see what kind of quarterback we're looking at, and then we'll get everything rocking and rolling from there. But we will see y'all on Friday as well on the call-in show. Y'all be sure to tune in to that. Appreciate everybody as usual for tuning in. Brian, do you have anything before we go ahead and conclude here? Oh, wait, yeah, I did get my prediction. It was the same as Justin's, actually, 38-17. I just realized that.
Justin and Justin.
Justin and Justin.
I was 45-17.
Yeah, I prefer
I don't
you to be right. I'd rather you be right.
Yeah, I think if I'm right, I'm going to the casino.
No, you're
I'm
not.
going to buy a lottery ticket. Definitely
You're gonna
not. Nebraska got a commitment from a 4-star wide receiver from
Oh, yeah.
Georgia, who the next day announced he's taking a visit to Florida State. So recruiting.
How about James Williams?
Yo, fuck that guy.
Hold the pin. James Williams is getting. I'm staying out of it. I'm just watching the show. I'm letting everybody go at it.
Did
bro. It's
you
been fun.
see the clip somebody posted of him getting ran over by a running back in pass pro against
Yes.
who they lose to Virginia, and he's got laid out.
Yes, and it was beautiful.
He needs to shut his mouth.
He
you
does.
jabroni.
He does, dude. Yeah, somebody posted screenshots. It's like, get number 10 off the field. Who's this James Williams? I mean, that's I get
Dude, they
it.
have him listed at like 265. That dude is not 265, soaking wet.
Does part of you think that like because like I feel like almost Pot Roast is in his ear like encouraging this. Like shoot
He's
it
got
back.
he's got to get his son to chill out.
Yeah.
Know his
yeah.
role.
Yeah, you need to relax, James. You're not built like that. You're not built like that. You told us in the press conference last year how frail your body is, that you have to be extra careful, and your body takes on twice the work as the average defensive end because you're not big enough. All right, you exposed your own weaknesses to us in your own press conference. All right, you shouldn't have done that. You're frail. You're small, and that's it. You know, I didn't have anything against James Williams until he was like, "Oh, you could have used me." No. We couldn't have.
Bro, you wouldn't have been playing.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been on the field. The other day, is it confirmed that Andy and Ari on Guest on Rules podcast? I think so, because Ari retweeted that. By the way, fuck Ari. So there's not.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Rules a better man than I.
That's rule playing chess. Yeah. Fuck you, Ari. You ain't coming on my show, dude. I'll knock that. No, man. I ain't gonna say it because I'm gonna get banned off of YouTube, and I'm not trying to get banned for Michigan State because we got to talk about our games Friday. Any good games going on in the Big Ten this weekend though, other than Michigan State, Nebraska?
There is one, I think. I'm pulling it up right now.
One that was. I just wanted to touch on that before we head out.
There was one game I thought, but I could be wrong. Maybe not.
Damn, I didn't think so.
We can watch Penn State shit on UCLA. For some reason, Oklahoma is playing Kent State this weekend.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, regardless, we will be here Friday to break down the Big Ten slate of the weekend's games and then break down the big games, but also anything y'all want to talk about. Let's talk about it. We will do that on Friday at 7 p.m. at Central, 5 p.m. Arizona time. If you are an Arizona native, I feel bad for you because I have to live in this dome too. So, but that'll do it for us here. Brian, nothing else?
Nothing else.
Do you want to tell the people how much you've missed them? And how much?
I miss everybody.
All right. Yeah, I'm
just tired.
Yeah, Brian, I'm gonna let you go. So you can go get some rest. R&R, you deserve it. You've been working your tail off. Your boss has been running you ragged. So we appreciate you being on the show each and every week. My job, I enjoy my job a little bit more than you right now. So I'm not going to complain. I'm going to give you, the credit you deserve for sticking it out and being here every week. So y'all drop a like for Brian, man. Brian deserves a like. I'll drop a like for Brian. All right. But that being said, we'll see y'all Friday. We'll see you on the next video, and that'll do it for us here. But with that being said, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.